Hello, my name's Azalyn. I am an épée fencer at Twin Cities Fencing Club in St. Paul, Minnesota. This is going to be the first video in a series of home workout routines, stuff you can do while we're all sort of shut inside for the time being. Also, this is my first time doing a video, so I'm going to say a lot because I'm not really sure what I'm saying, so bear with me. I'll try to improve upon it throughout however many of these I do. So, a few things to go over. Structure of a workout, first of all. Usually it's pretty simple. It's just kind of three main things. You have your warm-up portion, your main workout, and then your cool down. What those take the form of in themselves can be a little bit different. Warming up can be difficult because of course you don't have necessarily a huge space at home. In this case, I'm doing most of the workout stuff just in a living room space, which is hopefully what most of you have available. In terms of warming up though, if you have stairs are really great to run up and down. Going out for a jog is really good. That's what I'm going to do in a moment, and to go run outside and torture myself. Running is really good. Calisthenics, jumping jacks, jogging in place, high knees. Really you want anything that's going to get your heart rate up, get you moving, get your blood flow up, get your respiratory rate up, make you feel warm. Once you've done your warm-up, and you should always do your warm-up, you're going to do the main workout. And so that can be, maybe you're doing plyometrics, maybe you're doing footwork, maybe you're doing strength training, which is what more of today is going to be. But whatever you're doing, you always want to be warmed up beforehand, so you have a chance to kind of see what your body's going to do for the day, if any injuries you have are going to be cranky, if you need to tailor your workout in response to that. So warm up, workout, and then cool down. And cool down, usually you want to be getting your heart rate back down, your respiratory rate back down, so you can go walk, you can, if you're doing some exercises, you can do slower, more relaxed versions of those. And then you can do some static stretching for cool down, which is where you just maybe you sit in place, you stick a leg out, and you reach over and touch your foot. That's an example of a static stretch. You hold it for 30 seconds to a minute. You could do some foam rolling. Or if you have like a lacrosse ball, like a rubber ball, you can roll specific parts of your muscles. If any of you have a foam roller at home, you can do that. I usually like to alternate between foam rolling and stretching. And then once you've done that, you're good to go. In terms of injuries, fencing, of course, is an asymmetrical sport, so we get to have a fun variety of injuries on different sides of our bodies. So for me, for example, I have tendonitis in this hand, just it's my weapon hand and it's overuse. I've been dealing with it, but that's something I have to be conscious about when I am doing workouts, when I'm building for myself, or if I'm following someone else's, I need to adjust it and adapt so I can do it safely and relatively pain-free, but still get something out of the exercise. So if you have an injury, be mindful of that. If you already know there are exercises you shouldn't do, if you watch through this video and you see something, you're like, oh, that's a bad idea. Well, I encourage you to go find an alternative. I'll mention a few alternatives here and there, depending on your skill level, and just, if it needs to be easier or harder. But I encourage you to see what you can find for yourself. There's almost always 2 to 3 to 5 different ways to do an exercise or work out a muscle group, so you're almost never limited on options, even with very little equipment like I have here. So just be mindful of your injuries. I really don't want anyone getting hurt doing this at home. Always make sure you have water in hand, even though you're working out at home, it's not the gym environment. Have a water bottle nearby. If you have a yoga mat, that can be really helpful for some of these exercises. I'm lucky, I have carpet, and so generally that's fine, but for some of these I like to have a yoga mat. It just kind of helps cushion. In terms of equipment, I have very little equipment. My yoga mat, my foam roller, odds and ends, but not any real gym equipment. So if you have any weights or resistance bands, kettlebells, whatever, if you have access to those and you know how to use them safely and you know how to incorporate them into these exercises, by all means, please do so. Anything that will make it more challenging for yourself within reason, I encourage you to do that. But that being said, most exercises, if you put in deliberate effort and you're doing them technically as correctly as you can, and safely as you can, will still be a really good workout. For this specific workout, the only things you will need are a chair or a ledge. If you have any weights, you can incorporate them, feel free, but otherwise, you don't need anything for this, which is great. That's why we're doing it at home. Lastly, the other half of this is Solomon, who is a foil fencer at TCFC. Some of you might know him. He is going to be doing more footwork fencing oriented exercises. So again, he's also going to be working within the confines of the space you have available. But he's going to be doing a lot more stuff to do with footwork on guard, both strength training and plyometrics and agility and actual footwork as much as he can. Frequency, we'll hopefully be posting these every couple of days, maybe every 3 days. We'll just kind of see how things go, and depending on feedback that we get, that'll help shape how we do this. So in the meantime, what you should do now is you should pause this video and go do a warm-up and come back in 5, 10, 15 minutes. Me personally, I'm gonna go do my run, so I'm gonna go sweat and die outside, and then I will go do this workout with you guys. So we'll see you in a few minutes. The first exercise we're going to start with are push-ups. There are a few different ways you can do these. For me, I'm doing them with a chair because of my wrist, so I have to keep a neutral wrist position. I don't want to have any flexion with my hand. A few things to keep in mind with doing push-ups is you want to have your back fairly straight, and you want to keep your elbows tucked in closer to your sides, not let them wing out, and then keep your neck in a neutral position. The difficulty of a push-up can be changed by altering the elevation of your feet relative to your hands. So easier push-ups are if you're doing them against a wall. Medium, you can go to a chair like me or any other sort of ledge where your upper body is still somewhat elevated relative to your feet. Normal push-ups where you're just totally flat on the floor, and then if you want to go a step harder, you can put your feet on an elevated surface so your feet are higher than your hands. Next up are tricep dips. These guys work out the tricep muscles in your arms. Those are the muscles that are responsible for us being able to extend our arms, which of course in fencing is very important. These can be done with a stable bench, chair, or ledge, and similar to push-ups, you want to try and keep your elbows relatively tucked in and not let things flare out. At this point, we're going to move on to some lower body exercises. So another very basic exercise that it's good for everyone to do is squats. You're going to want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and then bend down your knees to about 90-degree bend, almost like you're about to sit on a chair. If you have any weights at home, this is a great point to add them in. You can put a bar across your shoulders, or if you have any dumbbells or medicine balls, you can just hold those in front of your chest, extended a little bit away from your torso to add some extra weight to the squat. The next leg exercises are going to be lunges. Specifically, we're going to do a variety of lunges. So we're going to do a forward lunge, a side lunge, and then a back lunge on each leg. These are athletic lunges, so you want to actually keep your feet parallel to each other, both of them pointing forwards, and then as you recover from every lunge, make sure you're really pushing up and you're keeping your torso stable. I would recommend starting out slow with these, and then if you're comfortable, you can go a little bit faster, and then you want to make sure you also do the other side as well. At this point, you've done a couple of major muscle groups in your legs. You've done your quads with the lunges, you've done your glutes with the squats. We're going to do the calf muscles now, just with some basic calf raises. Again, it's another exercise. It's very simple, it's very easy to do. You can do it just with your body weight on a flat regular floor like I'm doing, or a stair for a greater change in elevation. And if all else fails, you can always hold something heavy for some added difficulty. Another variation you can do is also just doing them on one foot at a time instead of two. Now we're moving on to some core and back exercises. If you want a yoga mat, this is probably a good time to go grab it if you need some extra padding for your hands or your knees. This particular exercise is called a bird dog. I don't know why it's called that. And yes, it always makes people laugh. But it's a really great exercise for your back. You want to be starting in a tabletop position with your knees and your hands on the floor and extending one leg and then the opposite arm at the same time, so you're both stabilizing and then you're also contracting through your back. A simple way to make this more difficult is to do it from a plank position where you're on an elbow and your body elevation is lowered while you're extending your arm and your leg at the same time. So you're using a lot more core in this case, and stabilization becomes a lot more important, and it's a great way to make it harder without really doing that much different. For a final core exercise, V-holds. All you do is you're going to balance on your your tailbone / your butt area, and you're going to bring your upper body and your thighs together to form a V. You can either have your knees bent or you can have them extended straight towards the ceiling. On a side note, sometimes I like to end with core exercises that are static because it helps bring my respiratory rate back down. So by the time I'm usually done with these exercises, my heart rate's down and my respiratory rate is down pretty well, that I can usually just go straight into stretching or rolling without having to do any additional cool down. So congratulations, you've made it to the end. At this point, we're just going to do some stretching. So I'm rotating through major muscle groups that we use. Pretty much I just tend to stretch whatever groups I feel like I need to. Personally, I find this makes me feel a lot less sore the next day, so I always recommend a little bit of stretching if you can at the end of a workout. If you have any additional comments, feedback, or exercises you want to see me do, leave a comment below. Otherwise, thanks for watching and working out with me.